بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. تشكر الجامعة الملكية للبنات صاحبة السمو الملكي الأميرة سبيكة بنت إبراهيم آل خليفة قرينة ملك مملكة البحرين ورئيسة المجلس الأعلى للمرأة لرعايتها لمؤتمر المرأة والمجتمع الذي تنظمه الجامعة الملكية للبنات. كما أود أن أرحب بسعادة الدكتورة الشيخة مريم بنت حسن آل خليفة نائبة رئيسة المجلس الأعلى للمرأة لحضورها معنا اليوم. وخير ما نبدأ به حفلنا هذا آيات من القرآن الكريم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم تر أن الله أنزل من السماء ماء فأخرجنا به ثمرات مختلفا ألوانها ومن الجبال جدد بيض وحمر مختلف ألوانها وغرابيب سود ومن الناس والدواب والأنعام مختلف ألوانه كذلك إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء إن الله عزيز غفور.
Respected Her Excellency Dr. Sheikha Maryam bint Hassan Al Khalifa, Deputy President of the Supreme Council for Women, members of the RUW Board of Trustees, members from the Supreme Council for Women, members from Shura Council, Parliament, Higher Education Council, Quality Assurance Authority, ministries, ambassadors, university presidents, vice presidents, distinguished guests, presenters, faculty members, and students. It is indeed a proud privilege for RUW to organize this research conference on women and society. Royal University for Women is the first private, purpose-built international university in the Kingdom of Bahrain dedicated solely to educate women. This academic year, RUW is celebrating its 10th anniversary. This conference is an endeavor in celebrating RUW's journey of excellence. Of the three pillars of education, namely teaching and learning, research, and community education, this conference will highlight the research aspect of our journey. I will take this opportunity to invite Professor Mazen Muhammad Ali Jum'a, the President of Royal University for Women, to give the welcome address.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. معالي الدكتورة الشيخة مريم بنت حسن آل خليفة نائبة رئيسة المجلس الأعلى للمرأة، نائبة راعية الحفل، صاحبة السمو الملكي الأميرة سبيكة بنت إبراهيم آل خليفة قرينة ملك مملكة البحرين، رئيسة المجلس الأعلى للمرأة حفظها الله، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة النواب والسفراء وأعضاء السلك الدبلوماسي ورؤساء الجامعات الموقرون، الأستاذ عيسى نجيبي رئيس اللجنة التنفيذية وعضو مجلسي الإدارة والأمناء للجامعة الملكية للبنات الموقر، ضيوف الجامعة الأعزاء، طالبات الجامعة العزيزات، مشاهدي حفل افتتاح هذا عبر الموقع الإلكتروني للجامعة حيث ينقل الاحتفال على الهواء مباشرة. أيها الحفل الكريم، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسرني وبالنيابة عن مجلسي الإدارة والأمناء ومنتسبي الجامعة الملكية للبنات من أكاديميين وإداريين وطالبات أن أرحب بكم أجمل ترحيب أيها الضيوف الأعزاء، مبتدئا كلمتي بتقديم بالغ الشكر وجزيل الامتنان إلى مقام صاحبة السمو الملكي الأميرة سبيكة بنت إبراهيم آل خليفة قرينة ملك مملكة البحرين رئيسة المجلس الأعلى للمرأة حفظها الله، لتفضل سموها برعاية مؤتمر المرأة والمجتمع وإنابتها معالي الدكتورة الشيخة مريم بنت حسن آل خليفة نائبة رئيس المجلس الأعلى للمرأة لتشريفنا بحضور الحفل. واسمحوا لي أن أكمل كلمتي باللغة الإنجليزية. This conference on women and society is part of the 10th year celebration of the Royal University for Women's Journey of Excellence. Being a women's university, RUW is a pioneer in women's education in the Gulf. In doing so, RUW continues the tradition of Bahrain, which was the first country in the GCC to establish a system of education for women at all levels. RUW started its operation in 2005-2006, and the major achievements are, this is only a special achievements, really. We had a long list, but we thought we will list some of it. RUW received Her Royal Highness Princess Sheikha Sibika bint Ibrahim Al Khalifa Award for Bahraini Women Empowerment for the 4th round in the year 2014. RUW is the first university to go through the newly established Higher Education Council accreditation and received a very positive report. RUW is one of the first 2 universities listed on the National Qualification Framework. College of Business and Financial Science received confidence in all the 3 programs in the programs within College Review held in 2014 and recently received the validation of the National Qualification Framework mapping of 2 of its programs. RUW Bachelor of Law program reviewed by University of Cambridge. RUW hosted the MENA court competition, moot court competition, and RUW team came 3rd out of 15 teams. RUW achieved 6 medals in Bahrain National Skills Competition in the fashion design and graphic design, and next week RUW students will represent Bahrain for the GCC competition, which will be held in Saudi Arabia. In recent years, RUW has expanded its curriculum offering by implementing new programs such as Bachelor of Business in Marketing, Bachelor of Architecture in Architecture Design, Master of Design Management, Master of Fine Art in Drawing and Painting, Bachelor of Law. Whether in introducing new programs or reviewing existing one, which you could see on the slide, RUW maintains close relation with industry and market needs. We ensure this continued association by collaboration with the industrial sector in organizing workshops, conferences, seminars, and sitting on college advisory committees. RUW's international mission has led to partnership with the GCC region and the world. This includes recognition from reputable universities in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Europe, and our strategic partner, West Virginia University, And today we have a big delegation headed by the Provost, Dr. Joyce McNabb. Welcome, Dr. Joyce. Distinguished guests, research is not an option at RUW, but forms an integral part of the university's mission, a mission which further extends to supporting HEC's strategic plan that Bahrain be a leading nation in terms of producing innovative research and patents. All our faculty are supported and rewarded for outstanding research contribution to their fields of study. We hope that RUW strategic partnership with the Supreme Council for Women and West Virginia University will launch the university's research center by conducting research on women's issues in Bahrain and in the region, and will mark the beginning of a new chapter in our research agenda. Over the next 2 days, this conference will be exploring many themes, such as women in business and leadership, women in innovation and technology, women and legislation and human rights, women in art and design, women across cultures. These themes will be explored through the participation of 150 researchers and academics, including future research, 50 students, our own students from over 15 countries presenting. We have 45 research papers and 12 poster sessions. It is my hope that this conference will be the starting point from which RUW will establish itself as a leader in exploring the role of women in the Gulf region. I take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, Tamkeen, Ahli, United Bank, GPIC, and our supporters, West Virginia University and Dar al-Hikmah University, for their generous supports. And I must say and mention that today we have with us His Excellency Dr. Abdulrahman al-Jawahiri, the CEO of the GPIC, and we would like to thank you for your generous support to this conference. I wish the conference the very best and hope these 2 days of academic interaction will be very inspiring and fruitful for all the participants and speakers. A special thanks to the keynote speakers. We have very distinguished keynote speakers, and also for the other 45 speakers which will be presenting over the days of the conference. And once again, I wish to take this opportunity to show my gratitude to Her Royal Highness, Princess Sabika bint Ibrahim Al Khalifa, wife of the King of Bahrain and President for the Supreme Council for Women, for patronizing this conference, and for Her Excellency Dr. Sheikha Maryam bint Hassan Al Khalifa presence at this opening ceremony. In fact, Her Royal Highness, the Princess, has patronized all our graduation, the 7th graduation which we held from year 2009 and upwards. And as you see, that Her Excellency Sheikha Dr. Maryam حفظك الله ورعاك إن شاء الله شيخة for coming and to our event, including our graduation on behalf of, as a deputy to Her Royal Highness Princess Sabika. And this is, I just show you some of the pictures of the graduation. Some of you will just remember the years. I wish you all RUW guests and wish you all the best and good days of conference. And I must say thank you to my colleagues in the conference steering committee for the hard work which they did in the last year, really, to see this conference to be achieved. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Mazen Juma, for giving a very warm welcome address to all the audience and also to highlight the achievements of RUW over the past 10 years. It is indeed my proud privilege now to introduce Her Excellency Mrs. Hala Muhammad Jaber Al-Ansari, the Secretary General of the Supreme Council for Women. Her Excellency was appointed by the Royal Order, the Secretary General of the Supreme Council for Women in 2010, and she has been in that post since that time. Prior to that, she was the Assistant Secretary General since the establishment of the Supreme Council for Women in the year 2001. It is my honor now to invite Her Excellency Mrs. Hala Muhammad Jaber Al-Ansari to deliver the keynote address on Bahraini women leading by example.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله جميعا. واسمحوا لي أن ألقي كلمتي بلغة المؤتمر الرئيسية اللغة الإنجليزية، مع أن اللغة العربية هي الأقرب إلى قلبي، لكن سنحاول. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Your Excellency Dr. Sheikha Maryam bint Hassan Al Khalifa, Deputy President of the Supreme Council for Women, Deputy Patron of the conference, distinguished guests. It gives me great pleasure to be among the speakers of such an important conference, which we thank the Royal University for Women for organizing in order to showcase women's aspirations as potential leaders and agents of positive change. The Kingdom of Bahrain has every right to be proud of its accomplishments in the field of women empowerment. In light of the steady increase in women's participation in higher education and in the workforce, Bahraini women have succeeded in reaching newfound heights. Women now hold ministerial, judicial, parliamentary, and diplomatic posts, as well as heading major financial institutions and pivotal regional and international positions. History also proves the great strides Bahraini women have taken to further their roles as vital members of a supportive society by attending the first formal school for girls in 1928 and participating in municipal elections in the 30s, entering the field of nursing in 1941, and most importantly, women's active participation in civil society as early as the 50s. We are without a doubt a product of the commitment, hard work, and persistence of previous generations of Bahraini women who have dedicated their lives to pave the way for us to become educated and devoted members in a society that embraces the equal opportunities for all, the right of equal opportunities for all. So given the advancements of Bahraini women leading up to the National Reform Program of 2000, why was there a need to establish a dedicated institution for women's development in such a progressive country? It was simply because of society's conviction to achieve sustainable women's achievement through an institutional framework that overlooks and manages national policies. In turn, experts from all sectors of society discussed and evaluated the status and needs of women in Bahrain. As a result, and based on the recommendation of Her Royal Highness Princess Sabika bint Ibrahim Al Khalifa, commissioned by His Majesty the King, the Supreme Council for Women was established on August 22, 2001 by royal order as a consultative organization led by the First Lady of Bahrain, directly reporting to His Majesty the King in all matters that relate to women. I think I have disturbed the slideshow behind me. Would you like to fix it, please? It's okay. Distinguished guests, it is with great pride that the Supreme Council for Women celebrates 15 years of success since its establishment by recognizing numerous legislative achievements such as the implementation of the family law, the protection from domestic violence law, and the amendment of the labor law, which has taken into consideration the needs of working women. The Council has also been fundamental in a number of strategic programs, such as the National Strategy for Advancement of Bahraini Women and the National Model for Mainstreaming Women's Needs in Every Sector, and the National Strategy for Protection of Women from Domestic Violence. The Council has also implemented a number of strategic initiatives relating to political empowerment, as well as a number of economic empowerment programs that with an emphasis on the field of entrepreneurship and access to financial solutions to support women's role in trade and industry. The Supreme Council for Women is also proud of the continuous achievements of Bahraini women, which led to the Kingdom of Bahrain recent election to the UN's Commission on the Status of Women and to the Executive Board of UN Women Agency. Nevertheless, the role of the Supreme Council for Women is far from complete. We are well aware that there are still areas that can be further developed, in addition to the challenges that lie ahead, which we will tackle with the care and diligence indicative of our 15 years of success. Finally, we strongly believe that empowerment is a tool that every woman should realize to continue in the footsteps towards the success of Bahraini women. And it is the trust we have in generations to come that ensures we continue progressing and excelling in all areas of women development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mrs. Hala Muhammad Jaber Al-Ansari, for giving us a bird's-eye view of the Bahraini women empowerment and the role of Supreme Council for Women in empowering women in Kingdom of Bahrain. Indeed, RUW is very proud to be associated with Supreme Council for Women in this endeavor. We are very happy to have with us today Dr. Joyce McConnell, the Provost of West Virginia University. As the Provost, Dr. Joyce McConnell, JD LLM, is the Chief Academic Officer who is responsible for the administration of all academic policies, programs, facilities, and budgetary matters. She is committed to the WVU's land grant mission of ensuring access to exceptional education, supporting and facilitating innovative research, and serving the needs of the state and people of West Virginia. Provost McConnell is also an academic who has dedicated her career to improving legal education. Prior to her appointment as provost, she served as Dean of WVU College of Law from 2008 to 2014, where she expanded the college's multidisciplinary opportunities throughout the university. She made this possible by raising $36 million in A State of Minds, the campaign for West Virginia University. Dr. McConnell was named the 2014 Public Servant of the Year by West Virginia Association for Justice. In 2010, she was awarded the Special Places Award by West Virginia Land Trust. West Virginia University is the strategic partner of Royal University for Women, and now I would like to invite Dr. Joyce McConnell to deliver the keynote address on U.S. women's constitutional history. Please.
Good morning. It's a tremendous honor to have been asked to participate in this conference. I can't think of anything I would rather be doing this morning. And I want to thank RUW, the Supreme Council for Women in particular, Her Royal Highness Princess Sabika bint Ibrahim Al Khalifa, wife of the King of Bahrain, President of the Supreme Council for Women, Her Excellency, Dr. Sheikha Mariam bint Hassam Al Khalifa, Deputy President of the Supreme Council for Women, all of the members of the Shura Council, Mr. Issa Najibi, the executive of the committee, the chairman of the Executive Committee of the Royal University for Women, members of its board, and particularly Dr. Juma, president of RUW. I also want to thank the steering committee for making this possible. There are several of my colleagues here with us today, and they will be participating in the conference. One of the things that I think is so important about this collaboration between RUW and West Virginia University is that everyone assumes that the role of women in the United States is much freer, much more equitable, and that we have achieved much more. What I want to do is dispel that myth, because Bahrain has made incredible progress in the equality and development of women. I want to use a few key examples from U.S. history, one coming from our Constitution. Our Constitution actually did not provide women the right to vote. Excuse me. In fact, women fought very hard for the right to vote, and it took women in the United States 80 years to earn the right to vote, whereas Bahraini women have achieved the right to vote several times and much more quickly. And I also want to point out, and I think this is very important for everyone to hear, that the percentage of women that you have in your Shura Council is much higher than the percentage of women that we have in our Senate of the United States, and that the participation of women in both your executive branch, in your judicial branch, and in your legislative branch, the Shura Council, actually exceed that of the United States. Why is this so important for me to share with you? Not because I am not proud of my country or of our achievements, nor do I deny that we have achieved so much, but because I want to take a moment to celebrate the achievements of Bahrain and the Supreme Council for Women, His Excellency and Her Excellency, and all of you who are here today, because Bahrain, along with the Supreme Council for Women and the Royal University for Women, are truly leaders, not only in their own country, but in the Middle East and for the rest of the world. So thank you to all of you for so much. You have done so much in such a short period of time. What we all know about the development of women's rights, whether it is in the United States, Bahrain, or other Middle Eastern countries, is that it is a very delicate navigation of law, religion, and culture. And that is no different here than anywhere else. First, we often think of law. If we can only if we can only adopt the law, for example, the law that was adopted fairly recently here against domestic violence. And we were talking earlier, and I pointed out that our laws against domestic violence are really only about 50 years old. Ours started in the 1970s, very similar progress and evolution to where you are now. What's very interesting is that we can all pass a law against domestic violence, but then we're called upon forever to really navigate this space between law and religion and culture. Because we must always be vigilant, and we must always remind everyone that the development of a country, the success of a family, the achievements of the family's children, all depend on the elevation and advancement of women. We know from everything that the United Nations has researched that where in countries where women are educated, where they are free from violence, where they have access to health care, particularly reproductive health care, where they are members of the workforce and treated fairly, that those are the countries that prosper. 50% of any country's population may not be left out of education and health and entrepreneurship and competitive participation in the marketplace and have that country be a strong country. In that way, both the United States and Bahrain are very, very successful countries, working very, very hard and understanding the importance of advancing women, not just for women's rights, but for the development of advancement of an entire country. And therefore, women, I know, feel that responsibility. And I can look around this room and I see many women nodding and many men nodding. You understand that we, as women, when we become educated and when we participate fully and equitably in the workforce, we also take on the responsibility for being productive citizens of our countries and for elevating our husbands and our families and our children into being equal participants in the world. We know that there are key pillars to the success of women and any country. One, obviously, is education or learning. One of the things that has been so remarkable to me in Bahrain is that you understand that education never ends. You start at the very, very beginning with your youngest children, and then you develop a university as powerful and as wonderful as this one for women. And then you continue through community education to offer education and training so that everyone continues to improve. And that is something that is very much in the spirit of everyone that I have met in Bahrain, which is the responsibility to the country and the responsibility to always improve. It's like a constant improvement society, which I am delighted to be a guest of. This is my second trip to Bahrain. That both times I have been here, I have been so incredibly impressed by the warmth of the people of Bahrain and its commitment to education and to equity for women. It is really extraordinary, and I'm not sure that you all understand sitting here how extraordinary it is to have an entire country and its leadership join together to make sure that women can contribute fully in society. So educating women and women learning over an entire lifetime. Providing health care, which I know is very, very important in Bahrain, particularly reproductive health care, and the most important time of a woman's life, but also the most important time of a child's life, is so very important. And along with health, one of the fundamental tenets of health is safety. And all of you have worked so hard to raise the issue of violence against women and violence against children, and to understand that safety is the very, very basic tenet of what we can do for one another in providing the very best circumstances for development. And finally, participation in the workforce. And that begins with education. It also begins with law that makes it possible for women to work. And one of the tenets of very foundational tenets of women being able to participate excuse me, in the workplace is being mobile, being able to be out in the world, interacting, being able to be a shop owner, to be an entrepreneur. And I know Bahrain shares with my home state, West Virginia University, a tremendous commitment to entrepreneurship. And that is something perhaps we will have our next joint conference on, which is the role of women in economic development through entrepreneurship. And I know we'll be hearing more about that. But those are the three tenets that we always point to when we talk about women's development: education, health, and participation in the workplace, in the labor force. And we are all partners, I know, both nationally and with our state, West Virginia, and with our university and your university in making this possible for all women. Bahrain, you should feel incredibly proud that you can position yourself and have positioned yourself to be leaders in the advancement of women for the betterment of society. Thank you so very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joyce, for this wonderful insight into the U.S. women's constitutional history and also in outlining the women's role in the development through education, health, and participation in the workforce. I totally agree that in a very short span of time, Bahrain has actually done wonders in terms of the women empowerment. It is my pleasure Thank you, Dr. Joyce. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce the third keynote speaker, Her Excellency Mrs. Hala Ramzi Faiz, to this august audience today. Mrs. Hala was appointed by His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa as a Shura Council member in December 2010, representing the Bahraini Christians minority. She is currently heading the Women and Child Affairs Committee and is also a member of the Services Committee for the 2 consecutive terms. She was a member of the Finance and Economic Affairs Committee and a member of Women and Child Affairs Committee and Human Rights Affairs Committee from December 2010 to December 2014. A BSc in Business Administration and a certified public accountant, her practical experience involves more than 25 years of working in areas of financial and management accounting and reporting and strategic planning. She has held positions in the Ministry of Interior, the General Organization of Seaports, Gulf Air, and the Bahrain National Oil Company. It is with immense pleasure that I invite Her Excellency Mrs. Hala Ramzi Faiz to deliver the keynote address.
Your Highness Sheikha Maryam, Dr. Sheikha Maryam bint Hassan Al Khalifa, Deputy President of Supreme Council of Women, Your Excellency Aisa Najibi, Chairman of the Executive Committee of RUW, Professor Dr. Mazen Juma, President of RUW, valued guests, excellencies, distinguished guests. Good morning. And it's my pleasure really to have the honor and pleasure to stand before you today and take part in this conference on women and society. And I really thank Supreme Council of Women and RUW for giving me this chance. Today, I will be talking briefly on what Bahraini parliamentarians have achieved and the challenges faced by women in reaching to the parliament, and I hope you find it a useful paper. In any society, the status of women depicts an essential criterion which clearly indicates its progress and response to modern age facts, sustaining the values of democracy, citizenship, respect, and human rights support. In this respect, our societies in the Arab world, which are longing for progress and modernization, possess the human wealth, which owns creative capabilities and civilized characteristics, hence qualified to advance and accomplish the highest rates of development in all political, economic, and social aspects. Arab leaders have recognized the importance of advancing Arab women as an essential element of the political and economical development of the Arab world. Hence, they have called for greater empowerment of women to enable them to play their vested role in serving and building their countries and communities on equal footing with male partners. This emphasizes the fact that strong political will is a significant driving force for women's development in the Arab countries. On her part, the Arab woman exemplified one of the pillars in the Arab civilization and progress throughout history, particularly during the glorious era of the Arab civilization. In turn, the Kingdom of Bahrain was not far from the above progress. Hence, pioneering steps were taken to empower women, develop her capabilities, and activate her participation in society. In this respect, the statistics clearly reveal the status quo of Bahraini women in education, health, economic, social, and political sectors, and the evident development Bahraini women have achieved in those sectors, and her adoption as a qualified partner to build a sustainable, competitive society. Today, Bahraini women is highly ranked in the process of building the society and more capable to hold the highest positions in the kingdom. It suffices to see her today a minister, a judge, a businesswoman, and so on, yet preserving her natural role and primary task of nurturing the family and the nation at large. As I mentioned earlier, the participation of women in political life indicates the nature of the political and social system of any state, and is a testament to how democracy is practiced by the system and the extent of its adherence to the principles of social justice and equality. Prior to the National Action Charter, Bahraini women had a concern about their political participation, which indicates the recognition and appreciation of the Bahraini society of the role played then and now by Bahraini women in various aspects of social and economical life. This also indicates how open-minded Bahrain leadership and society are. Hence was the concern for empowerment of women to help them activate their political role in the community and put them in the suitable position matching her historic role in the Kingdom of Bahrain. And therefore, in August 2001, the Supreme Council of Women was established, chaired by Her Royal Highness, Princess Sabika bint Ibrahim Al Khalifa, with the aim to empower Bahraini women and merge their needs in the development programs to ensure the sustainability of their family stability and the familial bond, and to consolidate the principles of equal opportunities in order to ensure competitiveness of Bahraini women, and providing diverse opportunities to Bahraini women in order to enhance the standard of their quality of life within a framework of legislation and supporting policies. With this in mind, we will now have a look at Bahraini women's participation in the political life. On the earliest steps in His Majesty's reform project, which ultimately activated the women's role in public life, was her participation in High Commission to draft the National Action Charter, where 6 women represented different sectors, actively participated in drafting the charter project, in addition to Bahraini women participation in the committee which was formed to activate the principles enshrined in their charter. Their efforts brought forth granting the Bahraini woman her political rights to elect and to be nominated for the general elections. These rights were particularly exercised when the Bahraini woman participated in the public referendum on the National Action Charter draft, where women formed 49% of electoral bloc, the process which paved the way to establish the Constitution as amended for the year 2002. In this Constitution, clear stipulations were enshrined to guarantee women participation in electoral activities and parliamentary representation, in addition to the participation in election and nomination in municipal and parliament councils. In the Municipal Council, in 2014, the ascension of 3 ladies to the Municipal Council is an achievement by itself, due to its association with the society's everyday needs. This itself is clear evidence that the society is confident of Bahraini women's capabilities in the fieldwork, pinpointing the people's services issues, and setting the necessary solutions to meet their demands. In the Council of Representatives, though the Bahraini woman was not successful in the first legislative term, but the second legislative term witnessed an entry of the first woman to the Council of Representatives by nomination. This number increased to 4 ladies in the third legislative term. Following the 2014 general elections, the Bahraini women were able to accomplish a remarkable presence appreciated by all, as they were able to acquire the confidence of a wide section of electors by providing their presence supported by a strong election platform. While a number of candidates were able to succeed to the second round, 3 of them were able to win in constituencies which were traditionally closed for men. This point has to be carefully considered when discussing the women percentage of participation in Arab parliaments, which stands at 7.5%. In the Shura Council, it is to be remembered that 6 ladies were appointed during the first legislative term. In the second legislative term, the number was increased to 10 ladies. For the third legislative term, the number of ladies at the Shura Council became 11. Following the general elections of 2014, Bahraini women was able to accomplish a strong presence in the fourth legislative term. This was evident by winning the position of the second deputy chairman of the Shura Council and heading half of the Council's permanent and qualitative committees, and winning a seat representing the Shura Council in the Arab Parliament. However, though number of women of the Shura Council was reduced to 9 in 2014, after being 11, this percentage of 22.5 is more than the international averages, which stands at 22.5, and Dr. Joyce has already mentioned that earlier, and the highest among the GCC countries, together with the United Arab Emirates, as the percentage, for example, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, stands at 19.9, and Sultanate of Oman stands at 15.3, according to the latest Interparliamentary Union data. In decision-making positions, by virtue of education levels, which the Bahraini woman enjoys, and support extended by her by the wise leadership, the opportunities availed to women to hold leading positions and decision-making centers increased. That was evident in the 3 executive, legislative, and judiciary authorities, and in private sectors, being a minister, undersecretary, assistant undersecretary, ambassador, judges, members of Shura Council and Council of Representatives, members of Municipal Council, managers, directors and board of directors of companies, and so on. There is no doubt that attaining these positions by women was based on political decision made by the kingdom's supreme leadership and supported by the Supreme Council of Women, which contributed in addition to the women's participation in the decision-making to unfold the culture and establish the conviction of the woman, participation and non-discrimination between her and the man because of the origin, language, religion, or faith, as per the established constitutional and legal rules. It is to be noted in this respect that the legislative authority in the Kingdom of Bahrain exerted its efforts to ascertain that its legislation are consistent with the trend to achieve equality among the two genders, according to the principles included in the Convention of Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women, CEDAW, which would certainly contribute to women's progress. In this respect, many laws were issued with the objective to achieve equality and merging women's needs in the development plans and programs. So why is it considered important for females to take part in political life and parliament? The participation of women in parliament and political life in general stems from the right of equal citizenship granted by laws and various constitutions. On the other hand, participation of women in decision-making and in political life is fundamental in bringing up socially and politically aware and responsible citizens, with the aim of achieving positive participation in the process of progression and development of the community. Women are entrusted for bringing up generations and play a significant role in raising up generations that believe in democracy, rights, and freedom. And by participating in parliaments and political life, she is exerting an example and model to instill these concepts and values in the minds and hearts of generations, and not just considered as theories and thoughts without practical practice. Also, experience has shown that the presence of women in parliaments has had a significant impact on passing legislations and oversight role, and the participation of Bahraini women in the House of Representatives and Shura is the best proof of that. Bahraini women have proved themselves in parliament, where they participate in decision-making and parliamentary legislations and control. They have shown more commitment, presence, and participation in committees and adoption of community issues. And finally, it's not at all in the interest of the society to detach women and not involve them in decision-making, ignoring their needs and necessities by treating them as only followers of men, as it would adversely affect the upbringing of generations that will bear consequences of such detaching and raising them based on the concepts of discrimination and equality. So what are the challenges faced by women in this regard? In spite of the unlimited support Bahraini women gets and the guidance of His Majesty the King involved in empowering women politically, and in spite of the political rights clearly stipulated in the Constitution, her presence in the Council of Representatives is still limited for several reasons. However, Bahraini women have pioneered in the field of political arena compared to other Gulf states and some Arab countries. Among the many reasons for low representation of women, I will be presenting just quickly for some of them. The conservative culture and male-dominant society is standing as an obstacle in the way of women competing for parliamentary seats. The cultural heritage and socially ingrained concepts that see denial of women to exercise their political rights as something natural still prevails. These prevailing cultural and traditional thoughts are being passed down through generations, contributing to an anti-women participation society. And changing attitudes and such mentalities need time and considerable effort. Second, various media, including the fast-spreading electronic press, sometimes work in reinforcing the masculine ideology and minimizing the role of women by framing her as a housewife only, stripping women from their humanity and turning them into commodities through advertising. For example, we don't see media programs raising awareness of women's contribution in all sectors, including political participation. To the contrary, lots of the programs are entertainment-based and recreational programs that do not add much value to women's role in society. Third, look for the silent majority. Although we see a rising number of women participating in political life, but there's still a large number of women that are reluctant to participate and exercise their political rights. These are known as silent majority, who prefers to stay away from any political participation and choose to observe cautiously and silently. This group needs specific dedicated programs to be able to pull them out of the isolated world they have chose for themselves. Fourth, financial constraints. We must point out here that many women are reluctant to participate in the political life for the inability to cope with the huge financial requirements. And hence comes the role of NGOs and political parties who should come together and contribute their efforts to support qualified and efficient women candidates by technical and financial contribution to overcome this obstacle and to encourage women to run their experiments with confidence. In concluding my talk, I stress that the progress which Bahraini women witnessed and the rights she has attained are but the result of their leadership efforts to avail a widespread umbrella of educational, medical, housing, and social services, in addition to the full extension extended to women issues and her social status, taking into consideration the breadwinner women, widows, and mothers. The Kingdom of Bahrain is exerting real efforts to providing the best level of service and facilities for the citizens, and give a great deal of attention to the women and activate the principle of her equality with the men, empowering her and merging her needs within the society, being a major partner in the comprehensive and sustainable development process. In this respect, the public and private institutions share a great responsibility to promote women and procure her needs, a target which may be achieved by enacting legislation to achieve these ends, by setting up strategies, policies, programs, and activities to do so. All that needs cooperation and coordination between all institutions, by providing information and statistics pertaining to studying Bahraini women real life and to what extent the principle of equal opportunities and equality have been achieved. Thank you, and wish you all a good day.
Thank you, Mrs. Hala Ramzi, for highlighting the role of women in the political life and in the parliament in the Kingdom of Bahrain and in the region. Now I take this opportunity to request Mr. Isa Najibi, ex-co-chairman of Royal University for Women, and Professor Mazen Juma, president of RUW, to escort Her Excellency Dr. Sheikha Maryam bint Hassan Al Khalifa to the stage to present awards to our keynote speakers and sponsors. I would like to start by inviting our keynote speakers, Dr. Joyce McConnell, Provost, West Virginia University. Her Excellency, Mrs. Hala Ramzi Fayez, Head of Women and Child Right Committee, Shura Council. Sheikha Hala bint Mohammed Al Khalifa, Director of Culture and Arts, Acting Director of Bahrain National Museum, Bahrain Authority for Culture and Antiquities. Mrs. Joanne McSheffrey, Chief Technology Officer, Silla Gulf. Dr. Mona Suri, Academic Vice President, Royal University for Women. And now, Sponsors Awards. Dr. Abdurrahman Jawahri, President of Gulf Petrochemical Industries Company. Ms. Faiza Saeed, Ahli United Bank. And Mr. Ammar Awachi, Temkeen Representative. Mr. Ammar Awachi, Temkeen Representative. Thank you very much for doing the honors. I will now request Mr. Isa Najibi, EXO Chairman of Royal University for Women, and Professor Mazen Juma, President of RUW, to present a token of appreciation to Her Excellency, Dr. Sheikha Maryam bint Hassan Al Khalifa, Deputy President of the Supreme Council for Women. As part of our conference, we also have the poster session where master's and undergraduate students are presenting their research work through posters. In addition, the College of Art and Design at RUW, group photo? Yes, we will now have a group photo.